Kids were asked to wear rainbow clothes in honor of Pride Spirit Day, but some organized a counter-protest wearing red, white, and blue or black. The principal sharing a statement to families that Pride posters were ripped down, stickers ripped up, some students chanted "USA are my pronouns," and students showing pride were intimidated.
School children in Massachusetts are now actively getting involved in the culture war by protesting against the pride stuff being taught in their very own schools. And you love to see it, because for a while it's been the parents and the politicians and independent pundits like us. But now even the little kids who are affected by this stuff are getting involved in this fight. So we have the headline here from the Post Millennial. My pronouns are USA. Sorry for the freaking pop-up here, by the way. Okay, my pronouns are USA. Massachusetts middle school tries to make children wear rainbow clothing for pride. So basically they did, you know how they have those school spirit days? Maybe, you haven't been in school for a while. You may remember those. Well, now many schools around this country are doing Pride school spirit days, but apparently many students have revolted and are wearing red, white, and blue. So let's scroll down here and just listen to, I believe there's a news story on this.
Displays of intolerance and homophobia are unacceptable.
This type of intolerant rhetoric starts in the home.
Parents angry at town hall over intolerance at Marshall Simons Middle School. Kids were asked to wear rainbow clothes in honor of Pride Spirit Day, but some organized a counter-protest wearing red, white, and blue or black. The principal sharing a statement to families that Pride posters were ripped down, stickers ripped up, some students chanted "USA are my pronouns," and students showing pride were intimidated.
It was an unruly disruption, in fact, that was organized ahead of time.
While some parents were upset, others say it was overblown.
Some of the kids threw the stickers on the ground. But, I can only speak for my daughter. She didn't want to wear that to school. It's not that she wanted to hurt anybody's feelings.
She says her daughter felt coerced to participate in the Pride event.
Notice the physical difference there, okay? People might get mad at me for saying this, but I absolutely believe physiognomy to a degree is a real thing. The idea you can tell the mental and spiritual health of a person by sort of just looking at the way they present themselves. So notice a difference between those two women. So the first one, right, totally miserable, and then she's like, this is a community disruption. And the other one is like, well, my daughter just did not want to wear that to school, and the whole display is ridiculous. Notice a little bit of the difference there, right? Can we tell? Are you surprised which one is the, one who's against this stuff and which one supports this stuff? And furthermore, I don't know if you guys caught that, but notice on the first lady, the miserable lady, this is a community disturbance. Did you notice the thing that read underneath her name? It did not say parent. It said community member. Now, maybe that's the way the news chose to portray her. Maybe she actually is a parent or teacher or whatever, but I find that very interesting. She was a community member, which seems to suggest to me she actually does not have children, much less children at that school, and she's just some random cat lady who was upset about it, which is just something to consider as we sit and listen to the rest of this.
And was offended by some of the messages, like this quote from Tennessee Williams.
Human heart cannot be straight. It is curves and winds. And my daughter just kind of said, Mom, that's offensive to me. Who?
Read that again, chat. Human heart cannot be straight. It's curved like a road through the mountains. Tennessee Williams. This is just look at this. This is like propaganda. Everyone talks about, in these other countries, look at the propaganda that's in our school. Look at this thing. That's like, everyone's Orwellian this, Orwellian that. That actually kind of is though. It's like, it's the propaganda you talk about in the movie. Oop, my bad. It's the propaganda you talk about in the movies, except it's, for the certain alphabet community.
Not be straight. It is curves and winds. And my daughter just kind of said, Mom, that's offensive to me, who I am straight.
So there you have it. There's, the basics of this story. Maybe we look into the rest of this. I think you basically get the idea. Yeah, okay, confirmed. Joanne Frastacci, a Burlington resident, complained to local news that it was an unruly disruption. So, this person was not even actually involved or a teacher, it seems like. They just totally came along and were like, I didn't like that. So, it does tell you a lot. It does tell you a lot that she does not have children or any stake in the fight, right? But here's the thing. I can't imagine. Shout out to these kids, by the way. But I can't imagine what that whole situation must be like, okay? And what I was thinking about this, because I've had this similar experience when I was in school and still am in school and stuff. I wonder how many kids, you had the bold ones, the brave ones who either didn't wear anything or just straight up wore USA colors. Very cool. We like to see it. But I really have to wonder how many kids did wear pride stuff that day, or at least tried to wear something rainbow-ish, simply because they were scared of a bad grade. Because I have to imagine that's going to be the repercussion of all this. All of the students who wore red, white, and blue, or black, or whatever. And this is a middle school, by the way. Just keep that in mind. You think this is not a high school. It's not a college. Not that this stuff should exist in the first place, but this is not any of those things, right? This is a middle school. I really do have to wonder, though, how many of these kids are going to face, especially it's almost the end of the school year, how many kids on that final essay, are going to get a bad grade? And before you might say, Vince, no one's really going to care. It's middle school. Are the teachers really that political? Does anyone take it all that seriously? And if you say that, I have to say you probably came out of school a very long time ago, because I will say this. I went to middle school in 2015, 2016-ish. My teachers were very, very political. In fact, I've told this story several times on this show. In fact, I'm going to tell a part of it now that I didn't. But I've told the story many times about how my 7th grade history teacher gave me, I kid you not, a D plus or a C minus every single time I wrote opinions that were critical of hers, especially in regards to Islam. Keep in mind, this was 2015, 2016. The whole debate over radicalism and terrorism was a big thing. And at the time, I was not even a conservative, but I used to write kind of mild things from a sort of, I don't know, whatever, skeptical perspective every single time. C minus, D plus, every single time, okay? My 8th grade teacher as well. He was a big time liberal. I never had personal problems with him, but I will tell you, he took our 8th grade class to the Women's March. Okay, the first ever Women's March in DC, at the inauguration. He took the 8th grade class on a field trip to the Women's March. You know what the Women's March is, chat, right? That big feminist liberal march in DC. 8th grade. This was not 2023, right? That was a long time ago, sort of, I guess, to some people. This was 2017. My 8th grade teacher took him to the Women's March, which, keep that in mind, the Women's March is a political event. It basically is a rally for the Democratic Party. He used public taxpayer dollars in Los Angeles to take the kids all the way to DC to take them to the Women's March. So before you say, middle school teachers don't get political, I don't think it will be a big deal. So that's why I say props to every young kid who may even arguably be too young to truly understand the gravity of the culture war they are in. Props to every young kid who had the guts to do this, because they know and I know, I understand middle school GPA doesn't count for a lot, but you're definitely going to face repercussions for this in a good way, in the fact that, that's the price of righteousness. And so we absolutely love to see it. But yeah, don't get it twisted. Let me keep that in mind. This was a middle school. Okay. So as you know, and I don't have to say this again, but this stuff is starting in middle school. Frankly, sometimes I've been seeing it start in elementary school. We say it all the time. They are pushing it on your kids. I guess the question though is why? Why are they pushing it on your kids? And as we reflect on this story, I suppose really quickly, I'd like to sort of address that debate and answer that debate. Well, the answer is, I think it's beyond even politics. The answer is they are actively trying to push your children into being alphabet people, right? It's not even that they're trying to push certain political ideas on kids, which they are. It's bigger than that. They are trying to push on your kids to sexually identify in these ways, which is why they constantly bombard everyone like it, and why the second any young boy or girl portrays any characteristics of the opposite sex, they act slightly more feminine or slightly more masculine, they decide they want to wear pink, the state-sponsored legal approach is to say, okay, put them on hormones, put them in a dress right immediately, right? Of course, the left will deny this. They will say it's all about visibility. It's about awareness. We're not trying to turn your kids into it. We're just trying to make the kids tolerate it. That's the excuse they will use. And then very often they'll say, we can't turn people into this alphabet crowd because they're born that way, right? And this is the excuse they always use. They're born that way. They're born that way. But as I've brought up very often on the show, that is actually not true, okay? let me say there is a reason why there are a record high number of kids our age identifying as LGBT. That's not an accident. If this always existed in the way it did, you would have seen the same numbers throughout history. Yet suddenly now it's on the rise so much, okay? And let me be clear, for all of the cope you hear about it, there never has been found any real evidence of a genetic link to homosexuality, right? You always talk about the gay gene. There never really has been found that to exist, okay? And if you guys might remember, a few months ago, I put out this huge challenge to this movement. I said, if you guys claim that this is all nature and no nurture and we can't control it, which is why we need to put up with all the type of stuff that we do and just whatever, go la, then I said, very specifically, you guys remember this? I said, find me the gay gene, show it to me. It does not exist, right? Despite decades of searching for it, it does not exist, okay? Why? Because it is almost all, if not entirely, an issue of nurture, not nature, okay? Which means, indeed, that it is something that can be controlled, hence why they are pushing it on your children. Do you understand that? Why they're pushing all of these ideas onto those who are influenceable, and hence why we refer to them as groomers, right? People say that term is mean or whatever. No, it is that's exactly what they are doing through this stuff. Okay, understand that they're trying to get your kids to identify with the alphabet, blah blah blah. And let me say the one counter argument on the genetic front, I will acknowledge to a degree, there is one way in which people sometimes can be born this way, which is prenatal hormones, right? The hormones you're kind of exposed to when you're in the womb. The problem with that argument, though, is that, yeah, to some degree, stuff just happens. I understand that. But to a large degree, prenatal hormone exposure can be controlled. Actually, in many ways, too, that just proves the conservatives right, the very schizo far-right conspiracy theorist conservatives, because what have they been saying for a very long time? There's poison in the food. There's poison in the air. There's poison maybe even in the water. It's making women infertile. It's destroying sperm count. It's destroying estrogen, testosterone, all of that stuff. All these microplastics and everything, they contain what? Phytoestrogen, right? And, you know, there's so much microplastic in everything that phytoestrogen and microplastics are now being found in placentas. In the placentas of babies, they are detecting traces of plastic. Plastic has a bunch of estrogen in it. Well, then why are there so many young boys nowadays, more so than before, who are coming out that way? You see what we're saying? So in every single way, you know, conservatives are entirely right. Even if you want to look at prenatal hormone exposures, right? It is a part of the greater psyop, okay? Hey guys, Vince Dao here. Hope you enjoyed that clip from the Vince Dao Show. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And be sure to check out the Vince Dao Show live every weeknight here on this channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It is a great show. Many are saying this.